Okay, so I wanted to talk today about, today is the last day of May, so we're moving into June and the summer months. And I wanted to talk a little bit how we have this sister practice of Ayurveda with yoga, and it's kind of like, what our body type is, air, water, fire. And moving into the summer months, that is a fiery time. Obviously, it's hotter. We have a tendency to get more irritable or overheated. Um, Maybe get some rashes if we're out of balance, or indigestion, stuff like that. So during that time, it's best to eat foods that are cooling, like cucumbers, fresh greens, like all of the cooling things. But also the movement that the physical practice of what we're going to do today is going to be a cooling practice, including the breath that we're going to start with. So we are going to do some things, standing up, some of the regular things that we do, but we're going to just start a little bit slower, and then with the breath. So we're going to sit in easy pose, but it's going to be a little bit different. I want you to, once you're sitting cross-legged, instead of having them tucked underneath you, kind of just move them forward a little bit so you can see the toes of the bottom foot, and you'll feel maybe a little bit of a stretch in the hips. And you can just put your hands on your knees. And the breath that we're going to do is the Sitali breath. So are you able to curl your tongue? You don't have to unmute. Sorry. I don't want that to be hassle for you, but since you did unmute, are you able to curl your tongue? Okay, so I'm going to give you the two options then. So you're going to either curl your tongue like a taco as we inhale, or you're just going to form your lips like you're sucking through a straw. Those are the two options. Not everybody can curl their tongue. So we're going to start with our chin to chest. And then we're going to inhale with that inhalation, either sipping through a straw or curling of the tongue. And then we're going to exhale through the nose and just bring the head back to neutral. And we're going to do that 4 times for that pranayama breath. So let's go ahead and start. Inhale. Exhale. Again, chin to chest. Inhale. Exhale through the nose. Again, inhale. Exhale. Last time. Inhale. Exhale. And just kind of close your eyes and feel that for a moment. You can feel with that breath how it cools. You're automatically feeling this cooling feeling, and just the effects of that short 4-breath pranayama practice. It doesn't just cool the body, kind of like a dog panting, with that type of breathing. It also relieves stress from the body. Go ahead and bring your fingertips in front of you. We're going to walk the hands forward. Just go as far as you can until you feel a stretch in the outside of your legs. Some of us might walk our hands further than others, so just go as far forward as you can. Still keep the shoulders back. And we'll take a few breaths here. You can even sway a little bit left to right. Sometimes that movement in the hips just releases tension. And they maybe go a little further. On the next exhale, we're gonna walk the hands to the right. So walk the hands as far to the right as you can, just like we do in child's pose usually. Keep the hips grounded, but if the left sitting bone lifts a little bit, let it. We want to keep the SI joints happy. So here, you might walk your hands a little bit further if you have that mobility. We're going to take another breath here, shoulders back. And then we're going to come into a side stretch from here. So if you're able to, bring the forearm down to the ground. I'm not able to do that, so I have to stay on my fingertips. Take the left arm, inhale up, and then exhale to the right. One more breath here. Inhale to center. Bring your hands together. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. And then we're going to do that breath one more time. We're going to repeat everything on the other side. So start with chin to chest. Inhale. Again. Third time, inhale. And last time. Take a breath. And then begin to fold forward on the fingertips. Actually, before we do that, let's switch our feet. So whatever leg is on top, put it on the bottom. And then bring the fingertips to the ground, start to fold forward. Go as far as you can. We're going to take 3 breaths here. And then begin to walk your hands to the left now. Notice maybe any differences in how far you can go on this side versus the other side. And again, let the right hip lift a little bit if it wants to. If you're able to go onto the forearm, you can go onto the forearm. As we inhale, bring the right arm up. And exhale, lean to the left. 3 breaths here. Inhale, come back to center, bring the palms together. Exhale, hands in front of the heart. All right, let's go to hands and knees for Vigalasana. So nothing different here, just our regular warm up with the back bends and the tucking. So begin on the inhale, always opening the lungs, lifting the tail, lifting the gaze. And then exhale, arching. Do the first couple, maybe with a couple breaths between each movement, just to warm up the spine. And then we'll move a little bit faster, 1 breath each. Do 2 more rounds. And then come back to your flat back or neutral spine. Now I want to come down to forearms. We're going to come into like a puppy pose. So down to the forearms. You can even separate the knees a little bit more. And then the butt's going to go up. The chest is going to go down. So even move the arms forward if you need to. You can rest on your chin, your nose, or your forehead. And then next, inhale, lift the head, start to walk the hands back. We're gonna come into a regular downward facing dog. So bring the knees back under the hips, curl the toes under, and lift the hips up and back. And start to pedal out your dog. Alternating, pressing the heels towards the mat, moving the hips around. It's pollen in the air, I promise. Not that you're in the same room as me, but I guess that's why we're doing this, right? So funny. All right. So coming into Ekapada, Rajakapotasana, pigeon pose or half pigeon, bring the right leg up. Drop the heel towards the butt, soften the left heel towards the mat. Just open up the outer hip here for a moment. And then next, exhale, bring the knee forward. Keeping the knee bent, like that, number 7. Extending the left leg behind you, uncurling the toes. And take a couple breaths with the torso up first. Feel the evenness in the pelvis. Soften the pelvis towards the mat. If you're not feeling too much of a stretch here, bring the foot closer up towards the top of the mat. Eventually your leg can get at a 90-degree angle. Once you arrive and feel stable, go ahead and come down to forearms. And then readjust. Take a couple of breaths here before you go all the way down. And then you can bring your forehead on a block, your fists, or just bring the chest and the head down. I'm gonna stay here today. Find your breath, find the softness, feel the hip sockets unraveling. Kind of do a mental inventory of your legs and where you're feeling the tightness. Or even the length, where you're feeling open. Notice that too. Find any more spots in the hips where you are gripping and see if you can use the breath to help give permission to those spots to let go. We're gonna stay here for 3 more long breaths. So if you're not on the floor, be sure to come down to the floor. We're gonna actually roll out of this and roll onto our backs. So a little bit of tumbling in yoga class today. So you're just gonna lift the left hip, slide the right leg forward. You might come off the mat a little bit, just scoot yourself back on the mat and lie down on your back. Bend the right knee and bring the right knee up to the chest. And then we're gonna grab the big toe with our first 2 fingers. Keep the left hand on top of the left thigh. We're gonna straighten the right leg. If that's not accessible to you, just grab the back of the calf, or you can have a strap. Rest the head and shoulders on the mat. Next, exhale, see if you can bring the leg a little bit closer to you. And then next, we're gonna exhale and bring the right leg out to the right. So keep the left hip glued to the mat. and extend the right leg out to the side. Keep the left shoulder heavy as well. Left leg stays active. Next exhale, bring the leg back to center. And we're just gonna use the left hand to the outside of the right leg. Right arm can be out to the side. And we're just gonna push this leg over the center line, keeping the left leg active. We'll take 3 breaths here. As you exhale that last breath, bend the knee, bring it over the left side of the mat, all the way down to the ground. Some more tumbling. Roll onto your belly, but keep the the right knee bent. So scoot back onto your mat again if you have to. Be sure that the leg is at a 90-degree angle. So the knee is lined up with the sitting bone, and then the knee and the ankle are lined up. We're gonna stay here in our half frog. We'll take 3 breaths here and then have the option to go to the next level, which Amanda, I feel like you will probably enjoy. So we'll stay here, left toes back, shoulders away from the ears. You can come all the way down to the mat if you want. And then on your next exhale, if you are down on the mat, come to forearms. Use your left hand and grab the left ankle. Yeah. Get deep into that psoas. You're gonna have to bring your right forearm at an angle, cross it over the front of your mat. So you're gonna take 3 breaths here or stay exactly where you were. Next exhale, go ahead and release the left foot. Straighten the right leg. Bring it back next to the left, the left leg. And then on forearms here, we're just gonna kind of do like a Sphinx pose. So shoulders over the elbows. We're just gonna press the tops of the feet into the mat, press the pubic bone, push the floor away from you. Legs are active here. And then bring the hands towards the body. We're gonna come up into a cobra. You can be down at baby cobra, but a deeper back bend goes higher up. Shoulders away from the ears. Pelvis is still pressing into the mat. Next exhale, return to hands and knees. Curl the toes under, hip sockets up and back, downward facing dog. We get to do that all over again on the other side. So begin left leg up, drop the heel towards the buttocks, drop the right heel towards the mat. And then bring the left knee up towards the front of the mat, coming into your pigeon pose on the other side. And make any adjustments here before taking a couple of breaths and then coming down to forearms and then coming all the way down to the mat. So whether you need it to be a deeper stretch or lengthening the right leg, evening the pelvis. Once you arrive, then you can go further. We're gonna stay here for a good amount of time, noticing where we're gripping, letting go where we need to let go, doing some really deep hip opening today. There's a lot that our bodies have been taking on without even noticing that we're taking it on. There's lots of energy just kind of in the air, and it's affecting us in different ways. So we want to try to release that. Let's take 3 more deep breaths here. And then staying close to the mat, or being sure if you were up here to come down to the mat, we're going to take our left arm to the side and start to roll our bodies so we can come onto our backs. Yeah, who wants to take all of this stress and tension into a new month too, right? Tomorrow is the first day of June, starting a new season. Straighten the right leg, right hand on top of the right leg. Grab the big toe with your peace fingers and bring that leg up. Use a strap if you need to, a belt, a scarf, whatever, or just grab your calf muscle. Relax the head and shoulders, soften the jaw, soften the throat. Next exhale, see if you can bring the leg a little bit closer to the face. And then next exhale, leg out to the left. Right hip and right shoulder stay heavy. We're just rotating on that ball and socket joint for the left leg. Stretching the inner thigh. And then when we stretch, we always want to strengthen. So we'll take a couple of breaths here. And then use those adductors, strengthen them, bring it back to center. Left arm goes out to the side, right hand grabs the left leg. If you feel any pulling in the knee, please bend your knee, but bring it over the center line, over the right leg. Next exhale, we're gonna bring the knee all the way off the right side of the mat, roll onto our stomachs. Keep the left knee bent, 90-degree angle coming into our half frog pose. So come onto your belly, open the hips. The pelvis should be on the mat, square on the mat. Right toes pointing back. We'll stay here. You can be on your forearms. You could be all the way down on the mat. Just be sure to keep the shoulders away from the ears. Don't close up and crunch the shoulders. Take one more breath and then return back to the forearms if you weren't there already. We're gonna bring our left arm at a diagonal angle so we can support grabbing our right leg. So grab the ankle if you can. If that's inaccessible, just stay here and half frog. Take one more breath. Exhale, release. We're going to carefully bring this left leg, straighten it, bring it back to center, and then we're going to come into our Sphinx pose. So shoulders directly over the elbows. Actively press the tops of the feet, push the floor away from you. Take 3 breaths here. And then bring the hands closer to the torso. We're gonna lift into Cobra. Shoulders back, elbows are hugging the sides of the body, pressing the tops of the feet, active legs. Take 1 more breath. Go ahead and come back to hands and knees. Curl the toes under, downward facing dog. Let's take 5 breaths here, and then we're gonna walk the hands towards the feet. So straight arms, press the knuckles of the hands, the roots of the fingers into the mat. Lengthen through the tailbone. One more breath here. And then begin to walk the hands towards the feet. Keep the legs straight at first. And then we're gonna do Uttanasana here. We're gonna go up and down 3 times. So inhale, bring your hands to the shins, lengthen through the crown of the head. Exhale, bring your hands to the mat. You can bend the knees here if you need to. Belly should be close to the thighs. We're not rounding or bending over from the back. We're bending from the hips. Drop the head. Inhale, halfway lift again. Exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up to the thighs. Lengthen through the crown of the head. And then drop the sitting bones a little bit, bend the knees a little bit. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hands in front of the heart, and then meet me in Tadasana. So I'm gonna move and face you this way, but you might still be in the front of your mat. Inner edges of the feet are parallel. Find your Tadasana legs, strong legs, pressing through the ball mounds of the big toes, lifting the arches, lifting the shins. There's muscles in the feet that we use, and they start to collapse over time. Our ankles collapse in or out, our arches collapse, so strengthen the feet with this Tadasana pose. We're gonna do a little bit of movement here. Lift the chest, spread the collarbones. Palms facing up. Inhale, bring the arms up. Twist to the right and exhale the arms down. Inhale up. Come back to center. Inhale up. Twist to the left. One more time. Back to center. Good. If you have a block, grab your block. You might not need it, but just in case. We're gonna put it on the right side of where our legs are gonna be. So the right side of the mat or the front of your mat. We're gonna come to wide legs so we can get into warrior 1. Or I'm sorry, not warrior 1, warrior 2. I was close, I was only 1 off. So from the right hip socket, bring the toes out 90 degrees. The back foot should be parallel to the back edge of the mat, or the toes are gonna come in a little bit. Take your left hand, press the outer hip to bend the front knee. Left shoulder back, extend the arms in the front or back, and then gaze off the right index finger. Press the outer edge of the back foot. If your knee is going over the ankle, scoot the toes forward a little bit. Be sure your energy is not shifting forward, but balanced right in the middle. We're gonna take 2 more breaths here. Lift the chest. Engage the lower belly in and up. And on our next exhale, we're coming into side angle pose. So exhale, right hand on top of the thigh, left arm up and over, 3 breaths here. One more, not relying too much on that arm. Use the legs. Exhale, come back up to warrior 2. Straighten the right leg. We're going to do this on the other side. Left toes out. Bend the front knee. Be sure that you're dropping the pelvis to do so. Okay, so we're not just bending the knee and twisting the hips open. We're moving the pelvis, dropping the pelvis, and then bringing the right shoulder back. Gaze off the left fingertip or the left index finger. Roll the shoulders back and down. Your right glute should be super engaged, so don't let it be lazy. Give it a little wake-up call. Next exhale, come into side angle, Parshva Konasana. Left arm to the top of the leg, right arm up and over. If your chest went down, open it back up. 3 breaths here. Exhale, back to warrior 2. Bring the left toes in. We're going to bring the hands to the waist. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold forward. Prasarita Padottanasana, our wide leg forward fold. Fingertips to the ground, or if your hands are flat on the mat, walk the hands back towards the inner edges of the feet. Find your breath here. Drop the head completely, like it's dangling, like your head is dangling from a string. Still keep the shoulders back, lift the sitting bones, keep the legs active. Your legs are strong, the upper body is just pouring out of the waist. One more breath. Inhale, look up. Exhale, begin to walk the hands over to the right, okay? And we're gonna bring the right toes out and the left toes forward. So we're gonna come into our Parshvottanasana here. But if you need to bend the knee a little bit, go ahead. 3 breaths here. This is the one we normally do, grabbing our elbows behind our back or doing the prayer hands behind the back. One more breath here. As you exhale, bend the knee, grab your block, okay? Maybe put it off the front of the mat, depending on how far you are. We're coming into half moon here. Ardha Chandrasana. Begin to shift your weight forward. Don't straighten this leg until you've lifted the back leg. And then we open up the hips so the toes are pointing out. You can just keep your left hand here behind your back on top of your leg, or fingertips up. See if you can take one more breath here. Bend the standing knee, bring that foot back down, and come to a standing position. That's a good one, right? So if you know it's in your practice to go further in half moon, you can do that. Eventually, you're going to be doing half moon from the floor, leg up, and then you're looking forward, half moon. Everything is open, okay? So you can try that. Put it on the other side of the mat. We're coming back to wide legs. The point of half moon pose is that you're opening the hips, okay? So what you're doing beyond that is not as important as where the leg is. in position to gravity. So toes forward. Bring the arms out on the inhale. Exhale, interlace the fingers behind the back. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold. Bring the knuckles up. Bring them north, up closer to the head if you can. Keep the palms together. Be sure your toes are pointing straight. That's important to protect the ankle and the knee joints. We're going to take 2 more breaths here. Bring the fingertips down to the ground. Walk the hands to the left. Bring the left toes out 90 degrees. Bring the back toes up like 60 degrees. We're going to stay here for our Parsvottanasana. Bend the knee a little bit if you have to, but play around with straightening it. So even as I see my back here, it's a little bit more rounded than I would like. So I'm going to need to bend the knee, lift the sitting bones, and lengthen through the crown of the head. That way I can exhale and fold further. Or stay here and play with straightening the leg. Engage the lower belly in and up. And then next exhale, we can begin to shift forward, put our left hand on the block. And also, you have the 3 levels of the block too, so you can play around with that. Start to shift the right leg forward. Keep the left knee bent until you lift the right leg. Have that focus point. Use your breath. Rotate the hips open. Shoulders away from the ears. Your hip socket has to be over the ankle as far as center of gravity, otherwise you will fall. See if you could take 1 more breath here. And then bend the standing knee. Bring both feet together. Inhale, back to standing position. How you guys doing? You doing good? I'm like, oh, my hip. Oh. These things that are moving and waking up at, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30 in the morning. It's good. It's good for 41-year-olds. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, look up. Exhale, step back, chaturanga. Whoa, this is the first chaturanga we've done the whole practice. Woo! Inhale, up. Exhale, we're coming back to child's pose. So knees apart, toes together. Reach the arms forward. We're going to take a few breaths here, and then we're going to move a little bit. So the thing about the pitta, or the fiery season that we're going into, the heat, if we're off balance, the irritability, that's why we're doing this cooling session. So it's fire and water. So we're doing some movement like water. So this flow will be like that. The breath moves just like water moves, right? So bring the hands closer to the body. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, back down. Child's pose. Inhale, arms up. Just slow, fluid movement here. Exhale, back down. We're going to do that 1 more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, arms down. Lift the head on an inhale, walk the hands towards the body, cross at the ankles, and have a seat. Seated angle, Upavista Konasana. Separate the ankles. You can keep your hands behind the back to inhale and lift, and to separate the knees further. Keep the chest lifted. You can also, if you feel like you can keep length here, start to tip forward. You have to be rooted down in order to lengthen. So root the sitting bones down, activate the legs. The quadriceps are going to have to be active in order to release the hamstrings and allow you to come forward. So fingertips forward, shoulders back, feet are flexed. If you feel like you can go further here, go ahead and keep walking and go as far as your body will let you go. My body is saying right here is good, so this is where I will be for the next 3 rocks. Squeezing that orange between the shoulder blades still. Inhale, lift. Come back to a seated position. Carefully bring the legs out in front of you. Bend the right knee. Drop it out to the side. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward. If you can grab the bottom of the foot, do that. If you can grab the wrist, grab the wrist. Amanda, I have a feeling that you can do that. So top of the hand will go on the bottom of the foot, and then you grab the wrist that way. Inhale, look up at your beautiful big toe. Exhale, release. Other side, straighten the right leg, bend the left knee out to the side. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hinge from the hips, shoulders back, reach, and fold. Still engaging the lower belly. We need to protect the lower back from overstretching, okay? Inhale, look up at your toe. Exhale, release. Bring bottoms of the feet together, Baddha Konasana. We're gonna inhale, lengthen, and then we're just gonna actively press the stomach in, arch the back, shoulders forward, drop the head. Elbows are gonna be pressing the knees open. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, bring the knees together. We're gonna go ahead and lie down on our backs for a twist and a couple of other things before we go into Shavasana. So just lie down. We just did a couple of pretty intense forward folds. Let the spine neutralize. And then we're going to do our bridge pose as well. We want to do another back bend. So if you, if you have a block too, have that nearby. I don't know where mine is. Oh, there it is. This is how yoga teachers grab their block and put it off to the side. All right. Heels are going to be close to the buttocks for Setu Bandhasana, bridge pose, and we're going to go ahead and lift. Shoulder blades are flat, walk the shoulders together, interlace the fingers underneath the body. We're not overdoing it here. Remember, we're trying to, do a cooling practice here. So we're going to do a little bit of a flow. So pressing up, make sure the knees aren't coming out, press the inner edges of the feet. We're going to exhale and lower. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. One more time. Release. Separate the feet. Let the knees hang a little bit together. We're going to windshield wiper our legs back and forth. before we come into our twist. That, by the way, is not the classic technical yoga name for this pose. The windshield wiper pose. All right, come back to center. Cross the left leg over the right leg. Drop the knees to the right. Extend the arms, goalpost arms, or goddess arms. Let the left shoulder be heavy. Find a few breaths here. Relax the tongue, the jaw, the throat. One more breath. And then engage the lower belly to carefully bring the knees back to center. Switch legs, right over left. Drop the knees to the left. Find your breath. Next exhale, come back to center. Uncross the legs. This is where the block comes in. If you have the block nearby, put it under the sacrum so we can bring the legs up. You don't have to have the block here. This is just a supported shoulder stand. So be sure that the shoulder blades are flat or that the shoulders are flat on the mat. Bring the left leg up first. So the foot is flexed and the foot is flat towards the ceiling. And then bring the right leg up. Legs are together like it's one big leg. Feet are flexed. And be sure that you are not too much forward or backward, just straight up, 90-degree angle. Find your breath here. Feel the sensation of draining the legs, so to say. Anywhere we can release tension right now is going to be beneficial for us. Like I said, we're holding it. We hold it without realizing it, but we're taking it on without realizing it, just from all of the everything that we're taking in, mostly with our eyes and ears right now. Two more breaths. Slow, deep breaths. And then left leg first. So one leg at a time. Left leg down, right leg down. Lift the pelvis, remove the block. Lower, and then take a long stretch. So extend the legs, arms overhead. Move the wrists and the ankles, yawn. And then get ready for Shavasana. So you can either come right into Shavasana or safely roll to your side to get up, to put on your sweater, your socks, turn the lights off. So when you're ready, separate the ankles, palms facing up. Tuck the chin just a little bit, not to choke yourself out, but just to release the muscles in the back of the neck. You want the chin a little bit lower than the forehead. And let's go back to the Sitali breath that we did in the beginning. because it is a cooling breath coming into these summer months, but it's also a tension relieving breath. So either your lips are the shape of a straw as you suck in, or your tongue is curled like a taco as you inhale. And then exhale through the nose. 2 more times, just like that. One more.